Hey YouTubers, my name is Peter Stigmar. I am a psychotherapist and success coach and founder of the Mental Success Network. And since this is our first video, I'll introduce you a little bit to our network and what we can offer. So the Mental Success Network, what we do is we look for the best products, services, and ideas to help you live the most fulfilling life that you can live. And since this is our first video, I thought I would start off with a book that I thought is really applicable to our day and age with a lot of things going on in the world. You know, we've had this pandemic, we've had different events happening in the world that are totally out of our control. And so I thought I'd present this book that I have used in my own practice. The approaches are very Carl Jungian, so there's a lot of shadow work that happens. So we're looking at those parts of ourselves, the unconscious aspects of ourselves, and by doing so, we'll be able to create insight. So what does that mean? That means that we look at how we do things unconsciously as a way of identifying why we are consciously doing something. Okay, so without further ado, I present to you this book called The 5 Things We Cannot Change and the Happiness We Find in Embracing Them by David Richo. So this is a book that's been extremely influential in my practice, and he goes into 5 points in this book that are really important. So I'm going to open it up here and just kind of read off the 5 things we cannot change. Number 1, everything changes and ends. So let that sink in a little bit. Everything changes and ends. Things do not stay the same. People do not stay the same. Circumstances do not stay the same. In fact, they change. Just like, you know, their regular nature outside, as things evolve, they change. And at many times and in many instances, they end. So given our pandemic and all the things that have been happening in the world up until now, we are in a place where things are constantly changing, things are constantly evolving. The world and the dynamics of the world are evolving. And so David Richo argues that, you know, to be able to attain that mindfulness, right, that ability to have an unconditional yes to life, we must embrace the fact that everything changes and ends. Then he goes on to say that things do not always go according to plan. So if you had a certain plan and the pandemic altered that plan, this would be a perfect example of something that can help you to start developing that ability to say, you know what, things do not always go according to plan. So how do I work with that? How do I change my circumstance so that it can go according to plan? Life is not always fair is number 3. Life is not always fair. Unfortunately, we live in a circumstance, in a fallen and broken world where things are not always fair. There's a lot of injustice in the world. There's a lot of conflict in the world. And so recognizing that life is not always fair is important. It's important because by recognizing that it's not always fair, it allows us to look at how we can make our lives better for ourselves. How are we able to actually take this injustice or this unfairness and use it to our advantage? Pain is part of life. So recognizing that pain, whether physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial pain, these are things that are part of life. These are things that are going to happen. And they're things that we have to really start embracing. We have to be able to say, you know what? Okay, pain is part of life. How can I work to accept the pain so that way I'm able to move forward from it? And the last one is people are not loving and loyal all the time. So, you know, this one can be really difficult. We want our loved ones to be loving and loyal. We want our co-workers to be loving and loyal. We want our neighbors to be loving and loyal. And that's not always going to happen. So it's important to be able to develop that ability to say, okay, people are not loving and loyal all the time, yet they are able to be loving and loyal in some aspects. And we're also able to look at ourselves and say, okay, how am I not being loving and loyal towards someone else? How am I not doing what I'm supposed to be doing so that I can maintain or establish new relationships and achieve success in life? One of the biggest aspects of what you will encounter in books like this is that a lot of it starts with our mentality. It starts with our ability to be able to say, you know what, I am not able to do something. How can I do it? How can I work to change? How can I be somebody who is embracing of change? How am I able to get out of my comfort zone, be a success, be able to push forward in life, you know? So this book is really instrumental. I would really encourage you to pick it up. It's called The 5 Things We Cannot Change and Happiness We Find by Embracing Them by David Richo. And he goes into each one of these 5 tenets. He also speaks about, becoming someone who is a person who is able to be embracing yes to oneself, but also embracing yes to certain circumstances and recognizing that certain things are the way they are and certain things are worth changing and certain things are not worth changing. So I encourage you to pick it up, read this book. He's not a very well-known author, but he's an outstanding author and an outstanding resource. He's been instrumental in my own psychotherapy practice, where I'm able to actually take clients, help them through these circumstances when life becomes difficult, when life becomes something that they're not able to really accept, because that's where it begins. True success begins with being able to accept something and being able to move through it, accepting that challenge, accepting that pain, accepting that setback, accepting that hurt. If we're able to do that, we're able to move forward in life and we're able to be the best that we can be. Thank you so much for your time. And if you like this video, please don't forget to hit subscribe and like at the bottom, and feel free to leave a comment. I definitely will reach out to you and look forward to making a lot more of these videos in the future. Be well, everyone. Thanks.